I launched this concept called the collaboratories at UCI, right? Because basically organizational success at AM is a team sport. It's not an individual thing. So many people I heard today talked about the silos in their organization, and we have very, very well calcified silos in the higher education side of the business, but also the healthcare side of the business. And so it came up with this concept of the collaboratories because we were going to aggregate our data to make them competitive differentiators for us. You know, as one of my colleagues in a different industry says, like, you know, our goal around data is we want to use our data to make better decisions faster, more consistently, and then at scale. And I love that framing because it gives me something to shoot at in terms of how do we bring our data together. So in the healthcare context, it's not just about electronic health records or images and genomics data. It's about how do we mash it all together to deliver on the vision of precision health that we heard a little bit about today. So we have built data platforms that allow us to, in the healthcare setting, we call multimodal data, bring it together, partnered with industry to help us build the capabilities for how do we analyze that. And just as an example, so if I bring together, you know, electronic health data, medical images, which is pixel-based, genomic information in waveforms from your EKGs, and I put that all together, how do I build a predictive algorithm around such different, diverse data sources? Well, wonderful thing about being a research university, you have a school of information and computer science where someone over there who's not, if they haven't been working on it, would love to challenge the work on it. And so it becomes this interdisciplinary opportunity for us to pull on the best of the best across our campus. And because we're part of a UC system, sometimes we actually partner with the other campuses. And so data for me is not, you know, in and of itself is not knowledge. You need data plus deep domain expertise that can work interdisciplinary to actually pull out the nuggets of value that you can create. And then the concept of creating an ecosystem allows us to basically create a platform to bring not just our deep domain experts together, but to bring us to work together with industry. In healthcare, that might be working with payer organizations or medical device companies or pharma companies. And some of the things that we did in healthcare during the pandemic where we had to accelerate getting these capabilities into place is, you know, it started with just triage. We had to build predictive algorithms to figure out which of the sick patients really needed to be in a hospital bed and which could we treat with alternative ways and basically send them to recover at home. And so we started mining our data and using machine learning, and we built predictive algorithms. That lended UCI to be ranked as one of the top 3 healthcare organizations in the country for survivability for inpatient stays of COVID patients. It got the attention of the people in Washington, and they said, we'd like you to help us with some problems with what you're doing with your data, your retrospective data. We're rolling out monoclonal antibodies as a treatment, and we have this protocol for who can get it. Can you tell us whether we've got the right protocol? And we came back and we put it through, we recalibrated our models around it, and we said, you know, actually, we think your protocol is too narrow. We think there are actually many more patients that could get this treatment if you opened up your protocol. And here's the result of our model, though. We think that that's the case. And based on that feedback, they actually expanded the protocol and more patients got to utilize monoclonal antibody treatments, which gave them the ability to come to an outpatient center, get an infusion, and then go home and recover in the comfort of their home rather than having to have a hospital stay. So it just showed the power of data, and that has now led to us to have several other opportunities to basically generate value propositions with the healthcare ecosystem. For me, the data, what we're doing in data in healthcare is something that you can take the patient out of the center, put the student in the center, and it's really different context, but same challenge, which is we have all these really diverse data streams of understanding our students who come from very different backgrounds, all have their own journeys and paces. But how do we put that together? And so we have a new initiative we call Data-Driven Student Success, where our goal is to not just do things like close graduation gaps between different students from different backgrounds or help more students graduate in that 4-year time frame, but it's really support each individual student with the personalized goals that they set, both in the classroom and in terms of their social and campus life, and prepare them for what comes afterwards, right? So to me, the student of the future shouldn't just walk out with a degree and a piece of paper, but really with a measured set of competencies built around a matrix that industry collaborates with us and defines for us for the characteristics and the competencies that you want your employees to have. And that our students, we can measure them while they're here through data, and then they can walk out with that extra kind of assessment and evaluation that is part of their portfolio that they sell you on and why they would be a great fit to join your organization, right? That's what we think the new research university looks like. Very much informed by data, taking advantage of not just the data, but the deep subject matter expertise, and using our students also as giving them the practicum of being able to work with this data as well. And so we're opening all sorts of labs where they can play with these technologies, play with the data, and actually prototype for us in the early stages. So this is some of what we're doing. We have a lot of programs also investing into our workforce, since we talked about talent that I won't go into, but I'm happy to, Vijay, if we have time, happy to answer if people have questions.